Welcome to day 11. Today's project is Basic Timer Tool. The goal today is to build a command line interface CLI timer tool in Rust that allows users to set a timer for a specified duration and notifies them when time is up. Now, this project will enhance your skills in first user input parsing, where you'll be handling and validating user input for time durations. Next, in concurrency, where you'll be using threads for non-blocking timers. We'll be doing some time management where we will be leveraging Rust's std time module for precise timing. We'll be using control flow where we will be managing program state effectively. Also, we'll be doing some error handling where we'll be handling invalid input gracefully, what we've been doing for the last 10 days before today. So let's go ahead and talk about designing this timer tool. The timer tool will allow the user to first enter a duration in hours, minutes, or seconds, and then it will start the timer and display a countdown, and then it will notify the user with a time's up message when the timer ends. So let's go ahead and start with a new project. So I've already created the day 11 folder for us. It is empty right now. So I'm going to go ahead and first I'm going to start with saying cargo new timer underscore tool. Once it's created, I'm going to go inside that folder, timer tool, clear it out, and then see if my project is created. It is. I'm going to move that in Sublime Text. I have it open here. And now let's go ahead and write the code. So first let's get into the main.rs file. I'm going to delete everything here, save it, and then start writing the code here. First, let's get our libraries. So I need stdio thread time, and that is time belongs to duration. So these are some of the standard ones that we need to create a timer. Also, we need stdio self-write to write to get the right path for this. And I'm going to talk about this trait a little bit later. So first, let's go ahead and create our function main where we will be writing our entire code. So first step is to display a welcome message to the user. I'll say basic timer tool, and I'm going to ask the user enter the timer duration of what you want. The format should be in hours, minutes, and seconds. So you'll probably enter 1 hour space 3 minutes space 22 seconds, something like that. So we'll try to play with something shorter just for the sake of this video, but I'm not going to run a longer timer. But this will inform the user about the required input here. Next, I'm going to go ahead and create a variable duration and say match get timer input. This will call the get timer input function, which will read user's input. Then if everything is right, it's going to be the duration. If not right, then I'm going to say invalid input. Please enter numbers only in example this format. So 0 hours, 1 minute and 30 seconds for 1 minute and 30 seconds, something like that. Return and done. So that get timer input function will take care of making sure that the input that user has provided is good. So let's go. Next step is I'm going to say println timer set for, depending on what user has entered, I'm going to display that duration at 0 element, duration at first element, and duration at second element based on what I get here. And that's what I'm displaying here. And then I'm going to call the function, start the timer with duration for hours, minutes, and seconds as the parameters of this particular function, which we'll write in a little while. So I'm going to go ahead, and then the thing is that what will happen is this will run until the timer is up and there's no seconds left, and after that it will println times up. That's what happens here. So now let's go ahead and look at our function to first parse users input for hours, minutes, and seconds. For that, I'm creating this function get timer input, and the data that I'm sending back is u64 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 back as an optional, which means it will either be available or not. If it's available, it will show up here. If not, then it will give this invalid message. So first, I'm going to create a mutable input variable and initialize as a string. Next, I'm going to say IO standard input. I'm going to say read line with the mutation input as a reference variable here. And then if it doesn't work, I'm going to say fail to read input. If it works, I'm going to say let parts of and create a vector of reference to string where I'm going to say input.trim, whatever the input the user entered. So for example, if user enters 0 space 1 space 30, I'm going to trim that split the white spaces and collect, so that when I split the white spaces, I'll get three different elements which will be part of this parts. Now, if parts dot length is not equal to 3, what if they enter only two items? Then I'm going to say return none, which means it's invalid input. If it is, that's good. Then I have the hours, which is parts of 0, the first part in that particular element parts dot parse u64. Is it okay? So is it a right hour is 64 format? Next, minutes. Can I convert it into minutes? Can I convert it into seconds? If everything is okay, that's good. I have data, and then that's what I'll pass back as input for duration, and that's what it gets: hours, minutes, and seconds. So that's what is returned back. Our next function is to start the timer and display the countdown. So this start timer takes input as hours, minutes, and seconds. That's what we get. Then I'm going to say total seconds equal to, so I'm going to get just the seconds instead of getting like doing a countdown for hours, minutes, and seconds. That might get too complicated. So that's why I'm converting everything into seconds. So I'm going to say total seconds equal to hours times 3600 plus minutes times 660 plus seconds, which what it does is, the reason I'm doing this is an hour has 3600 seconds, a minute has 60 seconds, and seconds are seconds. So if you enter something like this 0, 1, 30, 0 times 3600 is 0, 1 times 60 is 60, plus 30 seconds, which means total timer that it will run is 90 seconds. That's what it does. It will give me 90 seconds here. And then I'm going to say for I in 1 to total seconds dot reverse, I'm going to say let hours equal to 1 divided by 3600, minutes equal to 1 mod 3600 divided by 60, seconds equal to 1 mod I mod 60. Then I'll say print time remaining. Depending on how much time is remaining, I'm going to display those hours, minutes, and seconds that I have here. And then I'm going to say call flush and unwrap. Then I'm going to say thread sleep duration for 1 second. So what I'm doing is I am making this particular thread so for 1 second. So what this does is it stops the entire program for a second, and then again it will run and reduce the second one at a time, and then display this thing or update this time remaining print at the same line. So now once that is done, I'm going to say println move to the new line after the countdown ends, and that will go back here. Then the control goes back to this and it will print ln times up. So that's how this function runs. Now that I have this complete, let's go back to our terminal and say cargo run. It's going to compile, finish compile, running, and it's asking me enter the timer duration. So I'm going to say 0, 0, 10 seconds. I just want to run it for 10 seconds so I can show an example. So if you see here, what's happening is it's running, is printing, and every time it's printing, it's sleeping for a second and then reprinting it and then going through it. Again, if I run it one more time, and this time I give something bigger, 0, 30, 0. So this will run for 30 minutes. So if you see 29 finish 28, I'm not going to run it that long, so I'm going to just kill it. Again, run it again. This time I'm going to run it for 24 hours, 29 minutes and 17 seconds. There you go. 24 hours, 29 and 17 seconds. It's going to run, and by the time this is over, probably I will wake up for tomorrow's lesson. But for now, the things that we have learned is, first we learned time management. We used this time library to for timing. We used concurrency. We used thread and sleep for countdowns. We did input validation. We ensured the correct formats and values, and we did a dynamic display where we updated timer in real time. So for future challenges, you can go ahead and add pause and resume features, which allows users to pause and resume the timer. You can try with multiple timers, support running multiple timers simultaneously, so you can create multiple threads and add the alarm sound. Trigger an audio notification when the timer ends. Instead of saying time's up, you can also say ting ting, time's up. So something like that. So I hope you were able to follow along. If you had any questions or had any issues with your code, let me know and I'll get back to you.